Hi everyone, I'm John Michael, one of the writers and moderators for the IGN Entertainment Strategy Guide Wiki for the new SimCity. This video will show you some tips and tricks on the culture specialization. Here we are in a city I call public domain. As you can see, it's an established city. Now, the culture specialization is a support specialization. It can make you a lot of money, and it is feasible to work on its own, but it usually doesn't make enough money to make it worth it on its own. It's usually best to be used hand in hand with your gambling specialization because it allows, with culture, basically, it draws tourists in where they'll not only spend money on your tourist attractions, but they'll also spend money in your casinos. But we won't go over how they work together in this video. We'll just talk about the culture specialization. Now, it does take a lot of money to work, so you may need to do another specialization at first just to work with it. Right now, I've got a small little oil operation here. It's only a few oil pump jacks and just the one well, but it's no big deal. It's gotten me nearly $500,000, plenty of money to start off. You really need about, say, $250,000, maybe $200,000 to get started with the culture specialization. It's very pricey, but you can make quite a bit of money with it. Now, the number one problem with the culture specialization is traffic. So you need to plan ahead where you're going to place buildings. Now, my city's a little compact. I kind of planned it poorly. The main thing I need to do with my mass transit is I need to get a road from here. This is my passenger train station and my shuttle bus depot. I need to connect it to this figure 8, where I've used the manual overpass technique, which is in another one of my videos. So I'll likely draw a road here. Maybe I'll convert this street into an avenue and connect them. But for now, this will work. The reason I've done the manual overpass technique here is because I've created a figure 8 that I will eventually upgrade to streetcars. And so with all this area here, this will be the center point for all the culture buildings. So now that we have enough money, we're going to go to the first culture specialization building, which is an Expo Center. It costs $150,000, and you'll see there the max profit is $189,000, but max profit is a little touchy when you plop the culture buildings, as you're about to see. So I'm going to go ahead and select it, and I'm going to have to wind up destroying almost all my commercial buildings I've got here on this side of the road, but I sort of expected that I'd have to do that. So I'm going to plop it there. I think that'll cause the least amount of damage. And now we have our Expo Center. Now, the way the Expo Center works, by itself, it doesn't do anything. But when you click it, and it needs to be hired. Well, or populated with workers. Well, we'll let that sit for a second. Then we'll explain a couple other things. So yeah, the main reason I've done the manual overpass technique with the figure 8 is so that way I can upgrade the avenue later for streetcars. And I plan on putting a streetcar stop right here on the front door of the Expo Center. That should greatly minimize traffic around the area. And you will see as we go ahead and run some shows in the Expo Center that it will take a lot of traffic. There are just going to be cars everywhere. And that's why you need to be careful. Now you can see some of my commercial buildings are already changing. One of the things with the cultural specialization, I haven't 100% fully tested it. This is speculation on my part. But I believe all the cities that even start culture or gambling specializations have a hidden number that I'm basically calling the tourism rating. And so at first, when you first get started with culture, you won't have that many tourists come in. You may only even have less than a couple hundred who come in, which isn't nearly enough to make you any money. But every time a tourist leaves and gets happy, it seems more come back. So that's why I think there's a tourism rating of some sort. So the more tourists who come in who are happy and leave at being happy, the more who will come in. And it's just a cycle that perpetuates itself. So as this hidden number goes up, as this tourism rating goes up, your commercial buildings will convert from offices and stores to hotels. And I think that's what's going on over here. Especially on medium and high density avenues, they'll convert to hotels. Now that's important because tourists have a very specific routine they do. They come into your city, and they look for a place to spend their money, which for gambling cities, it's casinos. For culture cities, it's the Expo Center or even other landmarks. And then once they spend their money, they're going to look for a place to sleep. And if you don't have any places to sleep, then they're just going to leave. But if they do have a place to sleep, and that's hotels for commercial zones or the hotel rooms attached to casinos, then they'll stay the night spending more money for the hotel. And then when they wake up the next morning, they'll spend the rest of their money on other attractions. So basically, if you don't have any hotels, then you only get maybe a third of what a tourist is worth. So obviously, that's not good for maximizing your income. Now, hotels pop up by themselves, and again, I think these are going to be hotels, as you can see. So you have no control over it, but it seems that if the city knows you're going for a cultural city, more hotels come. So that's why I think, again, there's a tourism rating, because it seems that the more tourists who come through, the greater the number of hotels that randomly seem to pop up. So by placing the Expo Center in the middle of my commercial area, as hotels eventually come up, my tourists won't have to travel very far, and even better, they won't have to get involved with my other residents, who, by the way, are working over here and over here across the river. I know it's kind of a tiny area. Most of my residents are actually commuting out, but the point is the tourists will stay in their little area away from everybody else. So now that my Expo Center is fully functional, by itself it's going to do nothing. You have to actually schedule events, and you do that just by clicking your Expo Center and then clicking the Schedule Event button. Simple as that. Now, you have 3 different events you can choose. You can choose motocross, sports event, and rock concert. Now, it shows the cost of the event as well as the maximum profit you can make from it. But your tourism rating, again, comes into play. There is nothing stopping you, other than finances, from going ahead and booking a rock concert right off the bat. But the problem is, with the low tourism rating, you probably won't see that many Sims coming by to actually, watch it. You might break even, but, at $45,000 for the event cost, it's pretty pricey, and you may not want to risk it. Now, all events start at 8 p.m., and all your Sims can buy tickets as soon as you book the event. So, obviously, you want to try to book it as far in advance as possible to maximize the number of Sims who will buy tickets. Now, right now, as you can see in the bottom left corner, it's about 4 p.m. We're not going to get that many Sims, and since we basically have no tourism rating, I'm going to go ahead and buy the motocross one. I may not even break even on this, but at $15,000 for the event, it probably won't be too bad. So we're going to go ahead, and now you see we have motocross. Now, the event's scheduled for tomorrow? Hey, that's even better. Didn't realize it can be scheduled in advance like that. Well, like I said, even better. So while that goes ahead and sits there, I'll show you that the money is immediately deducted from your account. You can see in the city budget in the recent transactions line, event, $15,000 in the red. Now, if you cancel the event, like so, you get that money. Well, that's odd. In one of my previous plays, you got that money right back. I wonder why I didn't get the money back for that one. I wonder if that got repatched. Well, okay. Given that, don't cancel your events, I guess. I was going to say, I thought you could cancel it and get all your money back, but I guess not. So whatever. We'll go ahead and schedule for another one, a motocross event. There's another $15,000. I'm out. Whatever. Now you can, where it says current payout in the Expo Center, that lists how much money that you have taken in as of now. But the event, and you can even see it tick down from 15,000. Now the current payout is negative 14,934, with attendance very slowly growing. So those Sims are buying tickets for the event tomorrow. Now, we won't see that money until the event is completed. It comes back in one fell swoop, one lump sum. But right now, Sims are buying it, and word is getting out that we're going to have the event. Now, you can do a cultural city by itself. Your attendance for the event does count for your local Sims. So, in fact, if you have a really large town, like in the 200,000 population, feel free to plop an Expo Center. make some events, and you'll get money. Even if you're alone in the region, you'll get money from your own Sims buying tickets. But this works best, of course, if you're in a region. And this is one of the regions that I've done for some of my other videos. You can see that we are connected. The city of public domain is connected to Brainy, Chip City, and whatever the one this one was called. I don't even remember. Barons, oil barons. So we'll be drawing Sims from all of these. Barons has a population of 62,000. Chip City is my big city at 237,000. And Brainy has 50,000. So that combines for nearly 350,000 Sims. And some of them will commute in. I'd actually have even more if I gave public domain a ferry terminal, but I don't have one connected right now. And of course, it would be even better if we had a municipal airport connected or the international airport connected. Now, while I'm still waiting here, speaking of the airports, I do need to give a warning. Right now, the airports are a little broken. Placing one auto-levels the terrain something fierce, and it can usually disrupt your entire layout of your city. It's very difficult to place one. If you really want to go all out for a cultural city, we recommend that you either stick to a very flat plot of land like the Atoll region, or go for the international airport, because that way you won't have to worry about any land problems. So we're going to wait until the next day. So we have 23 people attending so far, and the event is still a day away. But yeah, so let's speed time up. I'll cut the video here. We'll smash cut to tomorrow. Alright, it's nearly 8 p.m. the next day, and we have done surprisingly well. You can see from the attendance, I've nearly maxed it out. 2,700 people and counting have come. I'm nearly maxed out in the current payout at 76,000 profit, which is just crazy. Did not expect to have that good of success on my first attempt in this city. But hey, I'm not complaining. So while the event goes, oh, there it goes, it's active. You can even, when you click into the Expo Center zoom in, you can hear the event, which is kind of cool especially when they have the rock concert, because they use a lot of the singy stuff that they've had in The Sims 3, and I think it's awesome. And I'm apparently casually ignoring another burning building in the top left corner of my city. Ah, well. They'll deal with it. So while my city burns and while the motocross is going on, I'll show you the other aspect of the culture specialization, and that would be landmarks. You need a Department of Tourism to do it, but once you have it, you have access to the fullest of landmarks here. They have different ranges, or different price ranges, different attraction values, qualities. And the most interesting thing about landmarks this time, unlike the previous iterations of the series, is that landmarks can do more than just attract people. For example, we have the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which costs $280,000, very expensive, but this is an actual tourist attraction. You can see from the info box there, it says high tourist attraction. That means it tends to attract high wealth Sims and in large quantities, which is great if you have the other attractions to suit them. And that's the tough balance when it comes to the culture specialization. The motocross here, which apparently I maxed out at 3,000 attendance. That is surprising. Must be from Chip City and all the other cities around me. But as you can see, I only got 3,000 low-wealth tourists. That's because motocross tends to only attract low-wealth tourists. To maximize profits further, we want to attract medium and high wealth. And that's especially true when it comes to your casinos, because if your casino can attract high wealth Sims, but you only have things like motocross to attract low wealth Sims, it doesn't really work out and you're not maximizing your profits. So you want to try to keep everything at the same wealth level to maximize what you've got. So we're going to go ahead and place a landmark here. I'm going to go ahead, and since I want some medium tourists, I'm going to plop the Washington Monument. It's also cheap at $50,000, but this is an actual attraction. Let's see. Let's stick it in well, no, that would be terrible for traffic. Yeah, we'll stick it there. So the Washington Monument, we click into it, and you can see that it draws a profit as well. Right now it's nothing because we just plopped it, but it brings it can attract up to 175 tourists at a time, and we can get quite a bit of revenue because once the tourists are done in the motocross, they'll look for other things to do, including heading to the Washington Monument. But other landmarks have other functions. For example, the Sydney... There we go. The Sydney Opera House is a high tourist attraction, but you can tell this one, again from the info box, has a max profit. The max profit is $74,200, and the reason it has a max profit is the Sydney Opera House itself acts like an expo center where you can run shows and people can come and see operas. But wealthy people specifically. So if you had an elegant casino, it would be great with the Sydney Opera House because they would attract tourists for each other and you would maximize your income. And you can see over here, before I continue to the next point, you can see how bad the traffic is right around the Expo Center. As I had feared, it's a problem we need to work on, but it's not so bad in the short term since, again, hey, we made maximum amounts of money, so I can't really complain too much. But whatever. All right, so but other landmarks can include this is the, I'm not even going to try to pronounce those words, but it's a high tourist attraction, whereas we have the Tokyo Tower, medium tourist attraction. But we have others, such as, I think let's see if I can find it here. The Empire State Building. Not only is that a high tourist attraction, but it serves as a commercial zone. So if you plop the Empire State Building, you'll not only be having an attraction, but you can draw in, or you'll be making a lot of jobs, and it can help cover the commercial demand if your RCI meter is kind of demanding. Which is great because, obviously, the Empire State Building takes up a much smaller footprint than having an equal number of commercial zones to do it. But just remember that you can only have 3 total landmarks regardless of what you choose. Now, in my experience, I personally find that the standard tourist attractions, such as even the Dutch windmill, that attract tourists and do nothing else, work the best for me. But your mileage may vary. You may decide to go for a different strategy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, the only other final point I want to make here is the Pro Stadium. That's basically an upgraded Expo Center. It basically deals with the same thing where you plop it, and like the Expo Center, you can run shows, run events, and get money that way. You stand to have a much bigger profit margin with the Pro Stadium as well over a simple Expo Center. But the downside is that if you place both, they will cannibalize each other's sales. There's only so many tourists to go around, even if you're connected to other cities. So you want to make sure that you are not trying to put on more shows than you have the people for. In our case, with the motocross maxing out its profit payout and the attendance, I'd feel safe about placing a Pro Stadium, except I want to run a few more shows, especially the rock concert, since that has a higher attendance cap and a higher payout cap, and see exactly where I'm at. So I'm going to go ahead and go into triple speed here for a minute. And all shows start at 8 o'clock, and they last until midnight. And at midnight, you get however much the payout is. So, boom, there we go. Last payout was $84,000. That money is added to the treasury, which you can see in the event transactions. Now, the event says it gave me $99,000, but on the Expo Center itself, it counts, or it takes into account how much the show costs, which is why my profit was a little bit lower. But hey, you can't argue with about $100,000 income, per day, and you can run a show every single day. So as soon as one show concludes, you want to schedule another event. And since the motocross maxed out, we're going to try the sports event so we can pull in low and medium wealthy tourists. It costs us $30, but we have a maximum profit of a bit more than we did with the motocross. So with that done, now we just wait until 8 o'clock and repeat. It's just that way for all of eternity with a cultural city. And unless you have a serious pollution problem or traffic problem or something and your tourists can't deal with it, there's no reason not to run a cultural city forever. You can make enough money that you can easily open, say, a trading depot, and in my case, in this city's case, try to help out at the solar farm, which, well, the solar farm apparently has all of its materials. That's good. So, but if you needed to build a great work, you could easily take the money that you're making in your cultural city, import the materials you need, send them to the Great Works site, and you'd be golden. So that's all for the tutorial for the Culture City. Hope it helped out. And as always, stay tuned to IGN Entertainment for more tricks and tips for the new SimCity. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.